hammering the mainstream media for its coverage of those recently released emails from Dr. Anthony Fauci. A bunch of outlets are hailing Dr. Fauci's frank honesty, but critics question how the media has framed all of this. The Washington Post tweeting, quote, Anthony Fauci's pandemic emails from March and April 2020 obtained through the Freedom of Information Act offer a peek into his world during the frantic early days of the coronavirus crisis. And they do indeed. Joe Concha is a Fox News contributor, also a media columnist for The Hill. He is here to break it all down for us. Joe, I think the first question that needs to be asked here about this trove of emails is, which portrait of Dr. Fauci do they paint? Is he this reluctant media hero thrust into the spotlight by former President Trump? Or is he a very savvy political operator who sort of took the reins and managed Washington's response to the pandemic?
What I'm seeing mostly, Jillian, incredibly, is the continued lionization of Dr. Anthony Fauci. Because let's think about what these emails reveal, right? It shows that Fauci was cognizant of a possible lag lead. It also shows that Dr. Fauci arguing that retail masks may not be very effective in protecting people from COVID. But most importantly, it gives two examples of Fauci sharing documents as they relate to gain of function, contradicting his testimony to Senator Rand Paul not too long ago. And remember, from a media perspective, Facebook censored any post that suggested that COVID was man-made, that it happened in a lab. Many in media last year portrayed anybody who suggested this, such as Senator Tom Cotton or Donald Trump, as a conspiracy theorist. And was it so outlandish that this came from a lab when you look at the precedent? 2004, SARS escaped from a Chinese lab. Years before that, anthrax escaped from a Soviet lab. So the precedent was there, and you have to wonder, was this reporting based on feelings and favoritism, or was it based on facts? The former, Jillian.
Well, here's another key question I think journalists and pundits alike have to ask themselves. How much wiggle room do you give Dr. Fauci or any public health official when you enter a situation like this that is unprecedented, that is a global crisis? Sure. People don't have answers. They are scrambling. Do you make some allowances for getting things wrong, for maybe being wishy-washy or even going back and forth on things? You know what I'm saying, Joe? Like, how much room do you give him here, or none at all?
Of course. Well, look, if there was some contrition on Dr. Fauci's part, that would be one thing. This is somebody who wants to release a book in November. That book, by the way, has been scrubbed by Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com, it appears. But this really sticks out to me, and it hit me before I came on the air. And you had Dr. Fauci checking in with CNN anchor Chris Cuomo on a nightly basis while this pandemic was raging. Let me give you the quote from Cuomo to Fauci in April of 2020. Quote, I have spoken to you almost without exception every day, and you have been calling me out of personal concern to make sure I'm okay. 11 o'clock at night, later, waiting for my show to end Saturday, Sunday morning. Why is Dr. Fauci, during a raging pandemic, calling a Democratic activist who plays an anchor on TV on a nightly basis when that anchor was still healthy enough to do his program? If that was his priority, I give him zero wiggle room when it comes to that, because it shows that Dr. Fauci was seeing things through a political prism, and 2/3 of Americans agree with me on that, according to a recent Rasmussen poll, Jillian.
Joe, thanks for always calling it like you see it. I will say it would be nice to see public health officials and politicians stop with the multi-million-dollar book writing while the pandemic is still raging on and killing thousands of Americans every single week. All right, Joe Concha, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Amen, Jillian.